Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. We're back again with another Two Question Tuesday. We have with us today Chris Balelo, who is the Vice President of Business Solutions Development at Konica Minolta. Thanks for joining us today, Chris. Let's launch right in. As Konica Minolta shifts more focus to a cloud-based software platform, specifically MFPs-based scan and document workflow software, you decided to focus on customer simplicity to set up their cloud tenant workflow. Can you explain the thinking behind that strategy a little bit?
Sure, Brian, and I'm happy to be here today. Thank you for hosting me. As customers ask us to shift print and scan and workflow infrastructure software from on-premise to the cloud, the idea is IT is asking for this specifically. They're looking to rid themselves of the burden of managing hardware, operating system server software, and application software from on-premise to the cloud. And to meet that request, it's not just a matter of moving an on-premise software, whether it be capture or print management, to the cloud, but it's really about providing the experience to the end user once it's there, for them to be self-service. So what do I mean by that? So self-service being, once we get to the cloud for the end user, and this is obviously for both our direct and indirect channel, simplicity for the end user to create their own tenant in the cloud. So when we create a cloud for a company, we could do it for them, or our dealers could do it for them. But really the idea is to make it self-service so they can make their own tenant. And in addition to that, make it simple in the case of scan and workflow applications, so that they can create their own workflow, again, in the cloud, and provide a simple way for them to do that. So what do I mean by that? Well, we decided that we would make a Visio drag and drop workflow. So if a client wanted to set up a workflow from a BizHub MFP, for example, to create a scan to repository and convert that file to a Word document or searchable PDF, and then do some kind of forms recognition or form recognition or zonal OCR, we wanted to make that experience, again, self-service, so they could do it on their own. Now, of course, we would provide, or dealers would provide, professional services for more complex workflow, but the idea is to create a platform as we shift to the cloud, not only to eliminate the burden of the on-premise infrastructure and software, like I mentioned earlier, but once it's up there, so they could be reliant or self-sufficient, I should say, to manage their tenant, their space in the cloud, and for them to create their own simple workflows.
Okay. I'm always amazed at the 25 years ago, we're talking about speeds and feeds all the time with the hardware, and now we're talking about ease of use and simplicity and ease of rollout. It's kind of amazing how that's changed over the last couple of decades. So the second question, as paper usage decreases in the office, where do MFPs fit in an organization's digital transformation strategy?
That's an excellent question. So it segues into the first question really nicely, in that, one of the things that we see obviously is a decline of print volume and copy volume on the shared centralized devices, for the most part, is what we're talking about here. So in the case of whether it be a small office or medium, or even a larger office, we see more and more these devices, these MFPs, are being used for things like scanning. So maybe print decline is happening because of the digitization of documents, but whether it be a medical, a healthcare provider, or a law firm, or even a school, there's still a lot of paper out there, and there's still a lot of this decentralized scanning of documents. Because, for example, healthcare, we know there's still a ton of paper that passes through a healthcare system. And so, for a specific example, still a ton of faxing going on. So in different types of care, like I'll use the example of long-term extended care, there's not only faxing or digital faxing, but there's analog paper faxing. So what happens when there is a paper fax that comes out an output tray? Well, the care provider, in the case of long-term care, needs to put that back into the system as a digital fax. How do they do that? They would maybe scan to a repository or scan to an EHR system. So to answer your question, Brian, the longevity of MFPs in the office is beyond print and beyond copy. We're seeing this kind of like a mini explosion of digitization of documents in the office, whether it be scanned to cloud or scanned to a fax server or scanned to a cloud fax repository as well. So we're seeing a significant uptick in that type of activity related to scan and cloud fax.
Thank you. As you said, what happens when you get a paper output on a fax tray? I just had this image of a bunch of millennials gathered around this thing, looking very confused at what this thing was. Chris Bolello, I got your name right this time. Thanks very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Brian. My pleasure.